Hi, this is the read aloud for Chapter 1, Lesson 1. Chapter 1's called The First Americans, and Lesson 1's called Migration to the America. I'm going to turn the page to read page 4, please. If you do not have your book in front of you, you're welcome to read the slideshow of pages on your own, or you can listen to the guided reading. This is kind of a long chapter, so we will read through this now. Listen as much as you can. If you need to break it up, you can. Same as for lessons to follow. Tomorrow we'll do the shorter version with less information on the guided reading pages. So, migration to the Americas. The migration begins. Remember that human history in the America began thousands of years ago. Who were the first Americans and how did they live? The written history of the Americas is several hundred years old, yet human beings have been living in these continents for thousands of years. Where did these people come from? How did they get here? How did the different corners of North and South America get settled? Today, scientists are still seeking answers to these questions. Experts in archaeology, the study of ancient people, continue to piece together evidence that tells the story of the first Americans. Archaeologists have learned a lot about the past from artifacts or tools, weapons, and other objects that early people left behind. Sometimes you could think of them as artifacts. Based on this and other types of evidence, archaeologists have offered some possible answers to questions about the first Americas. A widely held theory of recent times is that the first humans might have come to the Americas perhaps 20,000 or more years ago. This theory maintains that early people traveled along a strip of land that once linked Asia to the America. On the next page, I will show you the place. There was, I think it tells you about it as reading ahead. A land bridge revealed. Throughout Earth's history, the climate has changed. Several periods of extreme cold have occurred. The most recent of these is the Ice Ages. It began 100,000 years ago and ended about 12,000 years ago. During these years, on page 5, a large share of Earth's water formed huge sheets of ice or glaciers. The glaciers held so much water that the ocean levels were lower. The lower the sea level exposed a strip of land, a land bridge connecting northeastern Asia to what is now Alaska. So up here, there was not much water. Everything was frozen. So there was these big ice chunks up here at the top. And so there was not a lot of water here. So the people traveled to this from this exposed land. They walked, they traveled, however they got from point A to point B. They came from Asia all the way down through Canada into America, and then across even here into South America. This is the Bering Sea, and later in the reading it talks about the Bering Strait, or a land bridge called Beringa. The glaciers held so much water that the levels were low. The lower sea level exposed a strip of land called a land bridge connecting Asia to what is now Alaska. Scientists today call the land bridge Beringa. It now lies between the Bering Strait, a body of water named for explorer Vitus Bering. A strait is a narrow body of water that connects two larger ones. Many scientists believe early people traveled from Asia to North America across the land bridge. Yet not all scientists agree on how or when this might have happened. For example, some think people might have come to the Americas by boat. This might have allowed humans to spread faster throughout the Americas. As archaeologists discover new artifacts and evidence, new theories emerge and to change the old ones. So maybe they came along the coastal route to help them travel. You could get a lot faster traveling by boat than walking by foot, right? It is clear, of course, that humans arrived in the Americas. Over centuries, they traveled throughout both continents. In time, settlers stretched as far east as the Atlantic Ocean on this side, as far as south as the tip of South America. Go ahead and turn your page. If there's words you're not familiar with or you need the vocabulary, just remember if they're highlighted up here, they're on the bottom. Page 6. What is the reason for this migration or movement of people from one area to another? Why did these early Americas travel such distance? The answer may lie in the search for food. Early people were nomads, people who moved from place to place in search of hunting grounds. Although they also ate wild grains and fruits, they depended on hunting for much of their food. The first Americas, indeed, find huge mammals to hunt. These included giant shaggy beasts that resembled the modern elephant, mastodons, and mammoths. Early Americans were skilled at hunting these and other animals. They stalked herds of bison, mastodons, or mammoths, charging at the animal with spears. Earth warms. About 15,000 years ago, the Ice Age began to end, so things are going to melt. Temperatures start to rise, get warmer, and the glaciers begin to melt. Once ocean levels rose, the Beringa disappeared beneath the waves, cutting off the land route between Asia and the America. Around the same time, the large mammals on which humans depended for food began to disappear. This might have been the result of overhunting or changes in the climate. The decline in game populations meant that early Americas had to find other source of food. What are they going to do for themselves? Settlement. Let's settle. The constant search for food meant trying to find new methods. Early Americas caught fish and hunted smaller animals, while also gathering berries and grains. Farming was another new option that began to emerge. Its development would change the nomadic way of life and many groups. It's important today. Thank goodness they learned how to do that. Learning to farm. Around 10,000 years ago, people in the area known as Around 10,000 years ago, people in the area now known as Mexico learned to plant an early form of maize, which is a type of corn. These early farmers also planted pumpkins, beans, and squash. The crops provided a steady, reliable source of food. The farming people no longer had to move from place to place. People no longer had to move from place to place to find things to eat. Farming also allowed people to spend time on activities other than finding food. This resulted in an improvement in the lives of the early Americans. Establishing a unique culture. Although some early Americans remained nomadic hunters, which they traveled around hunting, many others began to settle down. They built permanent shelters from clay, stone, or wood. They also made pottery and cloth. Scientists have a method of determining how old an artifact is, using a process called carbon dating. You'll learn about this in science, too. Scientists can measure the amount of radioactive carbon in the artifact. They can use the measurement to come up with an estimate of the artifact's age. Carbon dating has helped scientists to date some settled North American villages to about 5,000 years ago. Although the study and dating of artifacts from these villages, or through the study and dating, scientists know that agriculture changed the lives of early Americans. Common customs and beliefs also grew over time. Eventually, the groups of people living in the Americas developed their own cultures or shared traditions and behaviors. Many of us in our families have cultures or shared traditions and behaviors, like they did the early Americans. You can read through these, reviewing the vocabulary, guided questions, and then we will do the read aloud for chapter 2. I'll make sure that's provided for you. Tomorrow you will do reading essentials, which breaks the chapter down a little bit more simple. I don't think we're going to do the questions on the side of the page. But as we move forward and as you guys are more interested, we can do the questions on the side of the review tomorrow. Lessons later. And then on Wednesday, you will have a quiz. You can use your book or your extended lessons. And Thursday, maybe we'll watch a video. On Friday, you're going to have a writing assignment that tells me like 2 or 3 sentences of something that you learned. So please make fun of our lessons here. They're not all work. Some of them are just lessons and learning like you would have in the classroom. Thanks for reading along. I appreciate your time. See you soon.